All right, so I have to give a disclaimer. I will just share that as with the residential JD program, we cannot guarantee individual bar eligibility for any students. That's a pretty big process. Each state establishes bar admission requirements in the United States. One of those involves an individual background check that includes a review of an applicant's foreign legal education, as well as a character and fitness review. And so it is important for any of you that are considering the bar exam in the United States. We'll include some resources here, but we also encourage you to reach out directly to the state bar of interest and evaluate your individual bar eligibility. We've talked about California and Washington. Those are two jurisdictions that will recognize online legal education. And so to the extent that supplemental credits are required, that those are certainly two bar options. So again, I would encourage you, the National Conference of Bar Examiners has a lot of information available. That's a great starting point. You can start there and then reach out directly to the state bar of interest. So this is the link, ncbex.org. If you visit that website, it has all the information you ever wanted to know about the bar exam. There is also a comprehensive guide to bar admission requirements on that site. And that's a really helpful spot where you can start your bar eligibility review. You'll see that bar eligibility can vary if you're coming from a civil law versus a common law jurisdiction, based on years of practice and based on supplemental study at an American Bar Association approved US law school. There are about 200 or so US law schools that are American Bar Association accredited. University of Dayton is one of those schools. And so that supplemental LLM study would qualify for the for bar admission. So for those states that require supplemental LLM study through an ABA accredited program. So in addition to the background check that we've talked about, the state bars also require completion of a multi-state professional responsibility exam. Professional responsibility is one of the courses in our curriculum. We are planning to offer it again in the summer 2022 semester, which will run from May until August. And the MPRE is a 2-hour, 60 multiple choice question exam. A lot of students take this while they are still pursuing their law studies. And so for those students that take the course in the summer semester, I believe they offer the MPRE, I think it's in August and November. You're able to double check that as well through the NCBEX website. But that's one exam, but the big exam is the bar exam. The uniform bar exam is administered in the majority of states across the US, including in Washington, DC, and in Washington State. California does not administer the UBE. They administer the multi-state bar exam, which is one component of the UBE. But the format is fairly similar in terms of an essay portion, multi-state bar exam, multiple choice portion, and then a performance test. You can learn more about the uniform bar exam, again, through the NCBE website. And I'd encourage you to just take a look at that if you are thinking about the bar exam. So since Washington State and Washington, DC do allow for the UBE, I'll kind of include a little bit of a breakdown here. Again, California has a performance test as well, an essay portion as well, and they do administer the MBE. So from the uniform bar exam perspective, you'll see that half of the total score comes from the multi-state bar exam, which is 200 multiple choice questions in 6 hours. I think it comes out to about 1.8 minutes per question. So timing is really important. You got to get used to reading through the questions and going through this quickly. Multi-state essay exam is 6 essays in 3 hours. That's easier math, 30 minutes per essay. So again, you got to go through that pretty quickly. And then for the performance test, you have 90 minutes, but don't be fooled. There's a lot of reading involved there because typically you're given like a simulation as if you were in a law in a law office, and you have to read through. Client has come in, and this is the legal issue, and then you're given a library of materials to read through, whether it's a case, whether it's a statute. Usually it's a combination of those, and then you're told, okay, prepare a legal memo for the partner or draft this for the court, and you have to do that. So you do get 90 minutes, but again, that time constraint is key. So, one recommendation that I would have for the bar, and even whether it's essay or multiple choice, is get used to, doing as many practice questions as you can. Most students in the US, in fact, all that I know, and this applied in the 90s when I graduated from law school, you finish law school and you take a bar preparation course, a commercial bar prep course. Actually, students in our in our LL.M. program are eligible for a reduced rate for the Themis LL.M. extended bar prep program. I believe it's over $1,000 off the published rate. So if anyone has interest in learning more about that, please let me know. I'd put you in touch with Themis. But Themis, Kaplan, and Barbary are the big 3 bar prep providers in the US. So that's something really important as well as you plan ahead, that those are bar prep options. Having said that, our focus today is going to be on the multi-state essay exam. This is going to help you on your law school exams as well, and it's going to help you regardless of which bar exam that you plan to take. The main thing that the Conference of Bar Examiners does in these essays, and frankly, even in the multiple choice questions, they want to try to trick you throughout every part of the bar exam. So they're going to give you different hypotheticals and fact patterns. They're going to give you facts that are not relevant. They're going to try to confuse you and trick you. And then they're going to ask you to identify what the legal issue is and analyze it. So part of the strategy, whether you're taking a multiple choice question or as we focus today on the essay, is getting a really solid understanding of the law and then being able to apply that law to a hypothetical fact pattern. In order to do that, you need to be able to properly identify what the legal issues are and to analyze them in a clear, concise, and organized way. So a lot of pitfalls that students have is they'll look at a fact pattern, and I use the expression kitchen sink. I don't know if that's used in India, but they just try to throw everything out there and see what sticks. What is going, what will I get points on? That's the worst thing that you can do, right? On the bar exam and in legal writing in general. Nobody wants to read about issues that are not relevant to what you've been asked to analyze. So and you don't get extra points for writing a lot if what you're writing about has nothing to do with the question that you've been asked to analyze. So the first step is you go in, you read the hypothetical that you've been given, you read the question that you've been asked to analyze, you go back, you reread the hypothetical, and you start taking your notes. If our exams are offered online, we do have an online note-taking option. So we always encourage students, take your notes in there, use that to organize your thoughts before you start writing. And then really focus in on what the legal issue is that you've been asked to analyze. IRAC and CRAC is something I wish they had come up with this acronym when I was a law student, but they didn't. But now we have it. It helps you to organize your thoughts. For those of you who are mathematically oriented, it's almost like a formula. I plus R plus A plus C gives you a well-written essay for the bar exam. So you want to start with I, which is the issue statement. You're going to want to frame the issue and make it clear to the bar examiner that you've understood what question and legal issue you've been asked to analyze. The R is the rule section. That's where you set up whatever the legal rule and legal doctrine is. As we mentioned, we have 10 doctrinal legal courses in our curriculum. You're going to get the rules. You're going to know, okay, this is, if it's a torts issue, these are the elements that apply. That's where you you set up the rule. Then the A is where you analyze the rule. Okay, that's where you apply the rule to the hypothetical facts that you've been given, focused on the issue that you've been asked to analyze. You analyze it. If there are arguments you present, you do that there. If there are counter arguments, you do that there. And then you come up with the conclusion. The A portion of the essay gets you the largest amount of points, whether it's in your legal writing class, whether it's in your civil procedure class, or whether it's on the bar exam, because that's where we can see, did this student or did this bar applicant understand the legal rule well enough that they could advise a client? You might get the right rule. You might even reach, more or less what is the right conclusion. But if you haven't shown us how you've gotten from the rule to the conclusion, then you're not going to score high on your test or on the bar exam. So here are some examples. You start with the issue statement. Sometimes you can start with a conclusion statement. Some professors will let you know what preference they have. The main difference is the issue statement is framed as a question with a question mark. The conclusion statement is framed as a sentence with a conclusion, with a period at the end. You'll see that the difference between the call of the question from the bar examiner and the issue or conclusion statement is that not only do the issue and conclusion restate the question, they also incorporate the most relevant facts from the hypothetical fact pattern that they've been given. And that frames right there, the bar examiner knows, okay, this person knows what they're doing. They've identified the issue, they've pulled out the most relevant facts, they've highlighted this in their issue and conclusion statement. And I bet when they get to the A section of the IRAC or CRAC, they're going to be analyzing that. So here then, once you've done that, you move into the rule section. You have to know the rule. It's very clear, when I would review the essays, it was clear when a student didn't understand the law or when they didn't understand the issue. So again, you want to make sure you understand the rules and you want to frame it in a concise way. So here, you're signaling to the reader when you start the sentence with the word under, that you're framing, okay, this is where I got the law, and then you identify the elements. And so that's what the writer is doing here. So they say under the restatement, battery occurs, and they identify harmful or offensive contact with the person of another and with intent. And then they go through and they give a little bit more information. Okay, what is harmful contact? What is offensive contact? What is intent? Now, once they've done that, you really, in the A section where you analyze, you go into the most detail based on the issue that you've been asked to analyze. And so here they go into, well, it's a prima facie case of battery because, and remember, some of these facts regarding the person's intention, regarding the physical impairment and the pain, those were highlighted in the issue statement. So we'll go back, so I'll give you a chance to read through this. Also a great book, Acing the Bar Exam. So for any of you that want supplemental resources, that's an excellent resource. And then the important thing is you want to make sure that your conclusion logically flows from your analysis. Probably less of an issue with a multi-state essay exam, but it was always interesting when I taught legal writing, students would have a 10 to 20 page paper due at the end of the semester, and we'd conference on that as they'd be going through it. And it's like, as they get more and more cases and do more and more research, there would be this evolution. So, in terms of the analysis and the conclusions that they would draw. So you want to make sure once you finished your essay, you want to go back, reread it, and make sure it's internally consistent. Did your issue statement identify properly what the issue was you were asked to analyze? Did you incorporate the most relevant facts? Were those facts then incorporated into your analysis section? And did your conclusion answer the question that the bar examiner, or if it's a class that your professor asked you to analyze? So with that, those are my tidbits on how to write a bar style essay. Coming from a common law jurisdiction, and it's interesting because I've actually even reviewed some of the course syllabi from Indian law schools, and there is a lot of similarity in how we approach some of these legal concepts. So that will definitely be an advantage as you approach your LLM study. But having said that, for instance, trust in estates, that was one course when I reviewed the syllabus from an Indian law school, very, very different from trust in estates in the US. So it is really important as you go through the courses, you'll have an understanding of common law, but there are going to be differences in some of these courses in terms of how the subjects and the concepts are approached. So with that, I will wrap up my portion of the presentation by inviting all of you to join us. We actually have a webinar series, High Tech in High Demand, Emerging Global Trends in Law and Technology. The series is one that we put together because a lot of the students that are currently in our program and many that are interested in the program do work in the corporate arena or even in compliance positions or in regulatory environments if they work for the government. And so it's really important since technology is inherently global. I mean, we're having this webinar and, I'm in the US, you're in India, Jin and Jeffrey are, in Korea. I mean, this is global. Technology is global. And so having an understanding of the legal and regulatory framework around the world is really beneficial. So we've put this together. We've actually finished this series for the fall, but we'll have more upcoming events in the spring. You're able to visit the site and learn and look at the resources we put out from the fall. So we invite all of you to visit. This is free, so please feel free to join us for that. And this is a picture of our campus in Dayton, Ohio. As Sindhu mentioned, the university was founded in 1850. We offer all the different disciplines, a very, very strong engineering program as well.